Well, it's like another busy news day. Ready to dive in.
Definitely. Let's get started.
Where should we begin? So many interesting stories.
Well, we've got politics, we have some intriguing scientific discoveries, and personal stories about faith and resilience. Lots to cover.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe we should start with something a little controversial.
Okay, sounds good. What do you have in mind?
Well, Elaine Guillot's blog has a piece about Donald Trump, specifically about the possible return of his ban on transgender athletes in women's sports.
Oh, wow. That's a hot button issue for sure.
It is, and this author is definitely in favor of the ban. His main argument is about fairness and competition.
I see. But it's important to remember that this is just one perspective.
Right.
There are a lot of strong opinions on both sides of this issue.
Definitely. It's a complicated issue. There are social, ethical, and legal aspects to think about, and it's not just about what happens on the field.
Exactly.
Mm.
Okay, so moving on. What about something a little less heavy? Maybe a personal story?
Sure, there's a piece called My Story, My Faith, My Vow
Oh, who wrote that one?
by Tommy Thompson. He talks about a really powerful experience he had as a child, an experience that really shaped his understanding of faith and commitment.
Mm-hmm.
It really makes you think about how these early experiences can have a lasting impact on our beliefs and values.
Yeah. It's a reminder that everyone has a unique story. And sometimes those stories connect with bigger events in really profound ways.
That's true. Now for something completely different.
Okay, I like it. Keep me guessing.
There's an article titled, Unlock Your Potential: 3 Microlearning Apps You Need in 2025. It's from Addicted to Success.
Microlearning, huh? I've heard that term, but I don't really know what it is.
It's basically about learning in really small chunks, like bite-sized pieces of information.
Huh?
It's perfect for people who are busy, and it seems to be really popular these days.
Yeah, I can see why. Everyone's so busy all the time. So what about these apps? What makes them so special?
Well, they each have a different approach, but they all focus on making learning fun and engaging. They use things like games and personalized content.
Sounds cool. I'll check those out.
Speaking of learning, we also have a review of a classic self-help book.
So which one?
It's called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. Have you heard of it?
I think so. I'm not sure. What's it about?
It's all about how our subconscious minds can influence our thoughts and actions, and how we can use that power to achieve our goals.
Interesting. So what are some of the key takeaways?
Well, Murphy talks a lot about positive self-talk
Hmm.
and visualization,
Mhm.
and the importance of believing in yourself.
Sounds empowering.
Ah.
Okay. Anything else on our list?
Yeah, we also have a few articles for all the business owners out there.
Oh, cool. What kind of stuff?
There's one on managing your online reputation, another one about outdoor advertising.
I'm curious about that. I feel like everyone's focused on digital marketing these days. Is outdoor advertising even effective anymore?
That's what I thought too. But this article makes a pretty strong case for it. They say it can still be really powerful, especially when combined with digital strategies.
Interesting. Okay, what else?
The last one is a practical guide to choosing the right credit card reader for your business.
Okay, that's useful.
So moving on to something completely different.
Okay, lay it on me.
Mind Body Green is reporting on a study that found a connection between diet and Alzheimer's disease.
Really? What did they find?
They found that people who eat eggs at least once a week have a much lower risk of developing Alzheimer's.
Wow. That's pretty significant. But is it just correlation, or did they actually prove causation?
Well, they think a nutrient in eggs called choline might be the key. It's known to be important for brain health. But yeah, more research is definitely needed.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's too early to say for sure whether eating eggs can actually prevent Alzheimer's.
Right. But it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Now let's talk about menopause.
Okay, sure. What's going on in the world of menopause?
There's an article on Mind Body Green that debunks some common myths about menopause and weight gain.
Oh, that's interesting. A lot of women struggle with weight gain during menopause.
Right. And this article challenges the idea that it's inevitable. They talk about lifestyle factors like diet and exercise.
So it's not all about hormones.
Well, hormones definitely play a role, but the article emphasizes that women have options. They don't have to just accept weight gain as a fact of life.
That's a really important message. I like that.
Okay. Next up, we have a fascinating article about the gut microbiome.
Oh, yeah. I've heard about that. It's like a whole ecosystem living in our guts.
Exactly. And this article talks about how it can impact our mental and emotional health.
Really. Our gut bacteria can affect our mood.
Apparently so. They can produce chemicals that directly impact brain function.
Wow. That's amazing. So what can we do to keep our gut microbiome healthy?
Well, the article talks about eating a balanced diet and managing stress and taking probiotics.
Okay, makes sense.
Now, shifting gears a bit.
Okay, lead the way.
There's a really encouraging story out of Arizona.
Oh, what's happening in Arizona?
They're trying to improve the quality of school lunches.
Good. School lunches have a pretty bad reputation.
I know, right? But they're making a real effort to reduce the amount of chemicals and additives, and they're focusing on fresh ingredients.
That's fantastic. It's so important for kids to have access to healthy food.
I agree. It's great to see initiatives like this.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this first segment.
We have, from politics and personal stories to health and wellness.
It's amazing how much is happening in the world every day.
It is. And we've got even more to cover in the next segment.
Right. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll be right back.
Back again for more deep dive.
Yeah. Ready when you are.
Okay, well, let's talk about mental well-being for a bit.
All right, sounds good. What have you found?
There's an interesting article on raptitude.com. It's called What's Taking Up Your Mental Bandwidth Right Now?
Mental bandwidth. I like that.
Me too. It's a good way to think about how we use our mental energy.
Yeah, we only have so much attention to give, right?
Yeah.
So how does this article suggest we manage it?
Basically, it says we need to be more aware of what we're focusing on. What thoughts and worries are taking up space in our minds?
Kind of like mental decluttering.
Exactly. The idea is to clear out the clutter so we have more room for the things that matter.
I like that analogy. Okay, what else is on our list today?
Well, we have a bunch of articles from Mind Body Green covering all sorts of topics.
Oh, nice. Okay, what's first?
Let's start with something pretty common. Oily hair.
Yeah, I've definitely struggled with that.
This article talks about the causes of oily hair, and it gives some tips for how to deal with it.
Like what?
Well, they say you should wash your hair less often, use a clarifying shampoo, and avoid heavy conditioners.
Okay, interesting. What's next?
Next up, we have an article about biromanticism.
Biromanticism. I'm not familiar with that term.
It's basically about being romantically attracted to more than one gender, but it's not the same as sexual orientation.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's a way to distinguish between who you're romantically attracted to and who you're sexually attracted to.
Okay, that makes sense. It's important to understand these nuances. So many different ways to experience attraction.
Definitely. All right. Moving on to hair care again. This time, it's about rosehip oil.
Rosehip oil. I've heard of it for skin, but not for hair.
Me neither. But this article says it's really good for your hair. It's full of vitamins and antioxidants.
Interesting. So what does it do?
It can help with hair growth, reduce scalp inflammation, and make your hair shiny.
I might have to try that. Always looking for natural ways to take care of my hair.
Yeah, me too. Okay, let's talk about parenting for a minute.
Okay, sure. What about it?
There's an article with some tips for entertaining kids, especially when they're stuck inside.
Oh, that's a good one. I feel like I'm always struggling to keep my kids entertained.
The article suggests creating a boredom jar.
But what?
A boredom jar. It's basically a jar filled with activity ideas.
Ah, okay. Clever.
And it also talks about setting up designated play areas and encouraging kids to use their imaginations.
So it's about giving them some structure, but also letting them be creative.
Exactly. Okay, now for something a little more serious.
Okay, what is it?
Remember that study about Alzheimer's disease we talked about earlier?
The one about eggs.
Yeah. Well, it turns out that eating eggs might also be good for your brain in other ways.
Really? Like how?
This article says that choline, the nutrient in eggs, can actually improve cognitive function.
So it's not just about preventing Alzheimer's. It can actually help your brain work better overall.
That's what they're saying.
Interesting. Okay, what else do we have?
Let's talk about skincare. There's an article about skin fasting.
Skin fasting, what that?
It's basically about giving your skin a break from all the products we use.
So no cleansers, no moisturizers, nothing.
Right. The idea is to let your skin reset and balance itself naturally.
I don't know about that. I feel like my skin would freak out if I stopped using my products.
Yeah, some experts say it can lead to dryness and irritation, but others think it can be beneficial.
So it depends on your skin type, I guess.
Right. It's always best to listen to your own skin and do what feels right for you.
Definitely. Okay, what else?
There's an article about how to keep your skin looking young in your 60s.
Oh, I like the sound of that. I'm not in my 50s yet, but I'm always thinking about preventing wrinkles.
This article says it's all about starting early, establishing good skincare habits in your 30s,
Like what?
cleansing, moisturizing, and using sunscreen every day.
Okay, The basics, nothing too crazy.
Exactly. Just being consistent with your routine.
Got it. What's next?
All right. Let's talk about corn.
Corn. Okay.
This article is all about the nutritional value of corn and the best ways to eat it.
I love corn, but I've always thought it was kind of starchy carb.
Well, it is, but it also has some good things in it, like fiber and antioxidants.
Oh, okay.
The key is to choose corn that's fresh or frozen and to cook it in healthy ways.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now, for a topic that might hit close to home for some people,
Oh, what is it?
there's an article about why love fades in long-term relationships.
That's a tough one.
I know, but it's something a lot of couples struggle with.
Yeah, it's not always easy to keep the spark alive. So what does this article say?
Well, they talk about the importance of communication and intimacy
Yeah.
and spending quality time together.
Basically, you have to put in the effort.
Exactly. Relationships take work. Okay, now for some tips on hormone health.
All right, I'm listening. Hormones are so important.
This article talks about endocrine disruptors.
Endocrine disruptors, what are those?
They're chemicals that can mess with your hormones.
Oh, yikes. Where are they found?
Everywhere, really, in cleaning products, personal care products, even our food.
So what can we do to avoid them?
The article suggests switching to natural products and filtering your water.
Okay, good to know.
Okay, now let's talk about sleep.
Sleep, the best.
Right, but sometimes we don't get enough of it.
Sure.
And this article highlights just how important sleep is for our brains.
I know it's important, but remind me why.
Well, research has shown that even one night of bad sleep can affect your memory and concentration.
Wow. Okay, so I need to make sure I'm getting enough sleep. No more late nights.
Sounds like a good plan. Okay, now for something fun.
All right, I'm ready for a break from all the serious stuff.
There's a recipe for a tomato and bell pepper soup.
Soup. Okay.
It's supposed to be really good for your skin, full of antioxidants and vitamins.
I'll have to try that. My skin could definitely use a boost.
All right, now for a little bit of astrology.
Ooh, fun. I love astrology.
This article is about the 3 most judgmental zodiac signs:
Oh, that's interesting. Which ones are they?
Virgo, Scorpio, and Capricorn.
I can see that. They're all very detail-oriented and have high standards.
That's what the article says. Now let's talk about old souls.
Oh, I love the idea of old souls, people who seem wise beyond their years.
Right. This article says that Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces are the signs most likely to be old souls.
Interesting. I'm a Pisces, so maybe that's why I've always felt a little different.
Maybe so. Okay. Back to skincare for a minute.
Okay, what's up?
This article is about how to prevent crow's feet.
Oh, good one. I'm starting to see a few around my eyes.
The article says the key is to protect your skin from the sun and to keep it hydrated.
Okay, that makes sense. Anything else?
Yeah, they also recommend using eye creams and doing facial exercises.
Facial exercises. I'll have to look into that. Okay, what's next?
Time for some self-care. There's an article about how to create a luxurious bubble bath at home.
Ooh, I love bubble baths. Perfect way to relax.
This article gives a recipe for a DIY bubble bath using natural ingredients like Castile soap and essential oils.
Sounds lovely. I'll have to try that.
Okay. Last but not least, we have a coffee alternative.
Oh, interesting. What is it?
It's called guayusa tea.
Guayusa tea. I've never heard of that.
It's from South America, and it has caffeine, but it's supposed to give you a more sustained energy boost than coffee.
I'm intrigued. Maybe I'll try swapping my coffee for guayusa tea one morning.
Yeah, it might be worth a try. So there you have it, another round of news and information.
Wow, we covered a lot. From oily hair to old soul.
We did.
And everything in between. Ready for some final thoughts?
Absolutely. Let's wrap things up.
Welcome back. It's time to wrap up this deep dive into all the latest news.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have. From politics and personal stories to health and wellness, even a little astrology.
A little bit of everything.
It's amazing how all these different topics connect.
Yeah. I think one of the big themes that emerged is the idea of interconnectedness.
Interconnectedness.
Yeah. Like how our individual actions can impact bigger societal trends.
Right. And how physical health is connected to mental well-being.
Exactly. And even how ancient wisdom like astrology can connect with modern science.
It all connected.
Right. And I think another important takeaway is the power of small actions.
Like those micro-learning apps we talked about.
Exactly. Or making conscious choices about the products we use.
Or prioritizing sleep.
Yeah. All those little things can make a big difference.
It's a reminder that we have more control than we think over our own lives and the world around us.
Absolutely. And we also saw some inspiring examples of people turning challenges into opportunities for growth.
Like Tommy Thompson's story about finding faith.
Right. And that article about finding strength in suffering.
It's a good reminder that even when things are tough, there's always hope
Mm-hmm.
and potential for growth.
Definitely. So what resonated most with you today?
Hmm, that's a good question. I think that article about mental bandwidth really stuck with me.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
It's so easy to get caught up in all the noise and distraction.
It is.
But that article reminded me that it's important to be intentional with my mental energy.
It's about prioritizing.
Yeah, focusing on what truly matters.
Absolutely. Well, any final thoughts for our listeners before we sign off?
I guess I would just encourage everyone to stay curious.
Curious
Yeah, keep exploring, keep learning.
about the world, about themselves.
Exactly.
The more we learn, the better equipped we are to navigate life's complexities.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the news.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.